Hello dear friends, welcome to another lecture of strength of materials, and today we are going to discuss some amazing concepts related to bending stresses of beams. We are going to discuss axial load plus bending moment. We are going to discuss beams of uniform strength, and a very important and interesting topic, we are going to discuss composite beams, my friend. So these are all the topics that we are going to discuss today. Now those of you who are watching me for the first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Aparoop Rao, MTech from IIT Kharagpur. My specialization was mechanical systems design. Then I was recruited from campus. I worked for 2 years in Mahindra and Mahindra automotive sector. I was in their research and development department, and then I quit my job and I started teaching. I've been teaching for more than 6 years now. I've taught thousands of students preparing for GATE and engineering services, and I teach subjects related to design, strength of material, engineering mechanics, machine design, theory of machines. So you can see my love for design. My MTech was in design, then my 2 years of work was in design, and now my 6+ years of teaching is also related to design, my friends. And I guarantee you, if you keep watching my videos, you will also fall in love with design, my friends. Your concepts related to design will be crystal clear, my friends. Now on our Unacademy Gate ME YouTube channel, we are posting live video lectures of all the technical and non-technical subjects related to mechanical and civil engineering. So if you are preparing for any competitive exam, GATE, engineering services, SSC, JEE, any competitive exam related to mechanical or civil, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. These live lectures are completely free of cost. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon, my friends, so that you'll get the notification of all the live video lectures. Whenever we will post any video lecture, you'll get the notification. Apart from video lecture, we are also going to post job notifications, all the notifications related to jobs, all the notifications related to MTech admissions. We are going to post interviews of students who are currently working in PSUs or who are currently pursuing MTech. So you are going to get all the help related to your preparation of competitive exams. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon and tell all your friends about our YouTube channel, because this is a completely free of cost channel. Okay, you will get all the content of this YouTube channel completely free of cost. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe the channel. And we also have one more offering. There is a Telegram channel also. Okay, there is a Telegram channel. The link of that channel is in the description of this video. So don't forget to follow that channel. We are going to post all the relevant things related to our videos on that channel. You will get PDF of all the lectures on that. You will get questions. You will get some discussions on that. You will Telegram channel. So don't forget to follow the Telegram channel also. And if you want to learn more from me and the top educators of India, if you think that we can help in your preparation, if you want to learn from us, then subscribe to Unacademy Plus, which is India's largest online learning platform. I don't need to introduce you to Unacademy Plus. We all know about Unacademy Plus. We can subscribe to any course and we can see the live video lectures of all the faculties teaching for that course. Okay, for example, if you subscribe to GATE and ES, then any faculty who's teaching for GATE and ES, you can follow him and you can see his video lecture live, my friend. Okay, there will be other things other than YouTube. Okay, on YouTube we can only post video lectures, but there you can get doubt sessions. There you can post your question, you can send your question to your teacher, and you can get all your doubts cleared from your mentor directly live. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe to Unacademy Plus. 1 year subscription will only cost you 25,000 rupees, and if you use my referral code Aparoop10, you will get a 10% discount. Okay, so 1 year subscription is only going to cost you 22,500 rupees, which is very less compared to any other classroom coaching. Okay, so 22,500 divided by 365, you will only have to pay 60 rupees per day. Okay, so don't forget to use my code if you are thinking of getting a subscription from Unacademy Plus. Aparoop10 is my referral code, my friend. Okay, all right. So now moving on to our lecture. Today we are going to cover some very amazing topics related to bending of beams. We are going to cover beam subjected to axial load plus bending. Then we are going to cover beam of uniform strength, and then we are going to cover a very interesting topic, composite beam, my friend. Okay, so be with me till the end of this video, and if you are present in this video lecture, please give me your attendance, give me a thumbs up, my friend, like this video. Okay, then we will move on. Like this video first, like this video first, show your attendance, and then we will move on. And don't forget to share this video after the lecture ends. Don't forget to share this video, my friend. Remember, sharing is caring, my friend. Okay, so we are all stuck in this lockdown. We are all stuck in this lockdown. We can't go to any classroom coaching. So let's understand using these video lectures. Let's take advantage of all these video lectures completely free of cost. So show it to your friends also. Okay, so share it on your Facebook, share it on your Instagram, share it on your WhatsApp, share it to your WhatsApp groups. Okay, so that maximum number of students can take advantage of these free of cost video lectures. Okay, so let's move on to the first topic today. The first topic today is combined axial load, and bending, my friend. Okay, yesterday we started calculating bending stresses in beams. Okay, yesterday we saw how to calculate bending stresses in beams. Today we are going to see when a beam is subjected to axial load as well as bending, it is a combined loading, then how will we calculate the stress. Okay, so let's consider a very simple example, my friend. Let's say we have a cantilever beam. Okay, let's say we have a cantilever beam. It is subjected to a bending moment, right? Let's say it is subjected to a moment M, and it is also subjected to an axial load P. So can you see there are two types of load acting on the beam, my friend. There are two types of load acting on the beam. There is an axial load P and there is a bending moment M. Okay, so this type of loading where more than one load is acting on any body is known as combined loading. So this is a problem of combined loading, my friend. Okay, there is an axial load and there is a bending moment. So this is a combined loading. Okay, now we have to calculate maximum normal stress in this beam. We have to calculate maximum normal stress in this beam. Okay, our objective is to calculate the maximum normal stress, sigma maximum, in the cross section of the beam. Okay, so do you understand our objective? We have to calculate maximum normal stress. This is our problem. Okay, so if there is axial load as well as bending, then how do we calculate sigma max? Let's understand that. Okay, let's say the cross section of the beam is circular. Okay, let's say the cross section of the beam is circular like this. Okay, this is what? This is the cross section of the beam. What do we mean by cross section, my friend? Let's say this is the beam, then this is the length, and this side view, this is the cross section. Okay, this plane is the cross section. Okay, so let's say it is circular. This will be the neutral axis at the center. Now there are two types of load acting on this beam, my friend. There is a bending stress and there is an axial load. So there will be an axial stress. So what will happen due to the axial load, my friend? Due to axial load, there will be axial stress. Okay, axial stress means it will be P divided by area. Axial stress will be like this, P divided by area. Axial stress will be like this, P divided by area, and it is a tensile load, so the stress will be tensile. Okay, so this is axial stress, sigma A, P divided by area. At top, at bottom, at both the points, it will remain same. From top to bottom, it will remain same. Sigma A will be P by A. Okay, and there will be a bending stress also. There will be a bending stress also. What will be the value of bending stress, my friend? Bending stress at top will be tensile. Due to this type of load, bending stress at top will be tensile and bending stress at bottom will be compressive. Okay, so what will you get? You will get a tensile stress at top and a compressive stress at bottom. Both will be equal because the neutral axis is at the center. So at top and at bottom, the stress will be equal, my friend. Okay, so this is your bending stress. So bending stress at top will be plus My maximum divided by I, and bending stress at bottom will be minus My maximum divided by I. Okay, So do you see? There are two stresses acting at any point. Consider any point on the cross section. It is subjected to two stresses. There is an axial stress P by A, which will be equal at every point. And there will be a bending stress My by I. It will be maximum positive at top and maximum negative at bottom. Okay. What is our objective? Our objective is to calculate maximum normal stress. Okay. Now, both these stresses are acting on the same plane and in the same direction. Both these stresses are acting on this plane and both these stresses are acting in this direction, x direction. This also acting in x direction. This is also acting in s direction. So if two stresses are acting on the same plane and in the same direction, then the sum of those two stresses can be directly calculated. Okay. So do you understand this point? If two stresses are acting on the same plane and in the same direction, then we can directly add these two stresses. If two stresses are acting on the same plane but in different direction, then we can't directly add them. Okay, then we can't directly add them. But if two stresses are acting on the same plane, this is the same plane and same direction, okay, one is this, other is this, then you can directly add these two stresses. Okay, so axial stress, bending stress, both are acting on the same plane, cross section plane, and both are acting in x direction. So we will directly add them. So what we will get here, my friend, what we will get here, when you will add these two, what will happen? The tensile stress will be added in this. Okay, because this is positive. Okay, up to, from top to neutral axis, the stress, bending stress is positive and this is also positive. So both will be added. But here below neutral axis, bending stress is compressive, negative, but axial stress is tensile. So if both these two will be added, then sigma A, it will become sigma A minus sigma B. Okay, so at top the stresses will be added and at bottom the stresses will be subtracted. Okay, at top both the stresses are tensile, but at bottom this is tensile, this is compressive, so both the stresses will be subtracted and you will get something like this. Okay, this is just an example, something like this. Okay, what is this? This is sigma maximum in tension. What is this? This is sigma maximum in compression. Okay, this is the maximum stress in tension and this is the maximum stress in compression. So do you understand this? Do you understand this? Do you understand this concept, my friend? Let me explain it using an example. Okay, so that you will be understand better. Let me give you an example, my friend. Okay, so let's say the stress at top and bottom, axial stress, let's say, is 60 megapascal. Okay, axial stress is, let's say, 60 megapascal and bending stress is, let's say, 100 megapascal here and minus 100 megapascal here. Okay, axial stress is 60. So plus 60 at top, plus 60 at bottom. Okay, but bending stress is plus 100 at top, minus 100 at bottom. So if you add them, what will you get? Here you will get 160 megapascal because both these will be added at top, and at bottom it will be subtracted, 60 minus 100, so it will become minus 40. Okay, so what is your maximum tensile stress? 160. What is your maximum compressive stress? Minus 40. Okay, so I can write this. Sigma maximum in tension will be equal to P by A plus My maximum by I. This is the maximum stress in tension, 160 megapascal. Okay, this P by A plus My maximum by I and sigma maximum in compression. Now at bottom this will remain positive. Okay, axial stress, if it is tensile at top, it will be tensile at bottom also. So this will remain P by A, but the bending stress will become negative at bottom. So it will become minus My maximum by I. This is the formula for combined axial load and bending. Very easy, my friend. You don't have to do anything. Yesterday we were calculating bending stress, right? My maximum by I. Today you just have to add the axial stress P by A. Okay, So you don't have to do anything, just add the axial stress in the bending stress. Okay, now don't forget the sign. If you are calculating tensile stress, then this will be plus, and if you are calculating compressive stress, then bending stress will be minus. Okay, so the sign of bending stress will depend upon whether you are calculating maximum tensile stress or maximum compressive stress. So if you are calculating maximum tensile stress, bending stress will be positive. If you are calculating maximum compressive stress, bending stress will be negative. Sign of P by A, it will depend upon the direction of force. Okay, sign of P by A will depend upon the direction of force. If the force is tensile, then it will be plus P by A. Doesn't matter whether you are calculating this or this. If this is plus P by A, this will also be plus P by A. But if I apply a load like this, if the load is compressive, then both these will become negative. So do you understand the sign? Sign of bending stress will depend whether you are calculating tensile stress or compressive stress. Okay, but sign of P by A, it will depend upon the direction of load. If load is tensile, it will be plus P by A, plus P by A. If load is compressive, it will be minus P by A, minus P by A. So do you understand this, my friend? Do you understand this? Do you understand this concept? We have to calculate the normal stress, total normal stress, which will be the sum of axial stress plus bending stress, my friend. Okay, now we will solve some very interesting numericals directly from GATE. You will see a lot of questions based on this. Okay, you will see quite a few numericals based on combined axial and bending stress. So we will solve them one by one from previous year GATE questions. Okay, these will be previous year question. Okay, I am trying to solve as many previous year questions as possible, so that you will get an idea what type of question will be there from every topic. Okay, all right, my friend. So let's solve some numericals related to combined axial load and bending. What you have to do? You have to just add the axial stress and bending stress. Axial stress will be P by A, bending stress will be My by I. So you just have to add them, but you have to take care of the sign. Okay, don't forget about the sign, whether it will be positive, whether it will be negative. This is very important, my friend. Okay, all right. So let's see one by one numerical. So the first numerical that we will solve is a very interesting numerical, my friend, and most of the students get confused in this numerical. But I will tell you very simple way. I will tell you a very simple way to understand this question. Okay, so this is the question. What is given in the question? We have a link which is under a pull. Okay, this is a link. Okay, this is a link, or you can say it is a bar, link, bar, beam, whatever you can say. Okay, so it is a link. Cross section is rectangle. Okay, cross section is rectangle. This cross section is rectangle. This is 50 mm and this is 15 mm. Okay, it is under a pull. It is under a pull. A load is applied like this. It is under a pull 4 kilonewton. A load is applied like this, 4 kilonewton, my friend. Okay, this is a pull. Pull means tensile load. So it is under a pull of 4 kilonewton. Okay, and what you have to calculate? You have to calculate sigma maximum in compression. You have to calculate maximum compressive stress. Okay, so this is the problem. Note down this problem, and then we will try to solve this problem, my friend. Very important problem. This is very important problem. Okay, this was asked in engineering services. This was asked in engineering services, but very important question, my friend. Okay, so note down this question, and then we will try to solve this question using our procedure. Okay, all right. Now the problem is that people get very confused about this diagram. What is this diagram? They are not able to understand because the visualization is wrong, my friend. Okay, so I will tell you how properly this question should be visualized. Okay, how to imagine this problem, how to see this problem. So this diagram that is given is an isometric view. Okay, a 3D view. What you have to do is draw this two-dimensional view, my friend. Draw this front view of the link. Draw this front view of the link. Okay, so this is the link. Okay, from front it will look like this, and from side it will look like this. This is the side view. Okay, In the question, isometric view was given, but this is the front view and this is the side view, or you can say cross section view. Okay, this is the cross section. Okay, what is the cross sectional area? 15 mm by 50 mm. Okay, width is 15, height is 50, and this is the front view. The load is acting like this. The load is acting like this. This is 4 kilonewton. This is 4 kilonewton. Now you will be able to analyze it properly. Now you will be able to visualize it properly. Okay. Now see, this is a bar subjected to axial load. This is an axial load in the direction of length, axial load. If it is acting like this, transverse load. If it is acting like this, axial load. So this is an axial load. But what is the problem, my friend? This is the cross section, side view. This is the plane where we have to calculate the stress. Look at this force. This force is not acting at the centroid of the cross section. Centroid of the cross section is here, but the load is here. I told you in case of axial load, whenever there is an axial load acting anywhere, any load acting anywhere, whenever you have to calculate the stress on any plane, you have to transfer the load on the centroid of the plane. So right now the load is acting at the top, but the centroid is here. So what we will do in this problem, we will transfer this force from here to centroid, my friend. So if you transfer this load from here to top to centroid, what will you get? You will get a force of 4 kilonewton, no problem there. The force will remain same, 4 kilonewton, but there will be a moment due to this distance. Due to this distance, there will be a moment. What will be this distance, my friend? Total height is 50. So this distance will be 25 mm. So due to this distance, it will create a moment like this. Like this. What will be this moment? 4 into 25 means 100 kilonewton mm. That much moment is developed. So now we have transferred the force at the center of the beam, my friend. So what we are getting? We are getting two types of load. Now we have an axial load as well as a bending moment. Very important concept, my friend. Whenever there is a load acting anywhere on the body, you have to calculate the stress at anywhere, any plane. Transfer that load at the centroid of the plane. Okay, transfer that force at the centroid. So I have transferred 4 kilonewton at the centroid. So I am getting a moment also. Now, what do we have to calculate? We have to calculate maximum compressive stress. Okay. Now, I told you the sign of axial load will depend upon the direction of force. So, direction of force is tensile. So, this will be plus P by A. Okay. Axial stress will be plus P by A. But the sign of bending stress will depend upon what we are calculating. Here, what we are calculating? Compressive stress. So if we are calculating compressive stress, then this will be minus My maximum by I. Do you understand this, my friend? P by A, sign of this will depend upon direction of force. It is tensile, so it will be plus. But bending stress, we are calculating compressive stress, so it will be minus. Now put the values here, my friend. Very easy. Put the values here, you will get the answer. So what is the value of force? 4 kilonewton means 4 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. What is the area, my friend? This is the cross section. This is the cross section. So what will be the area? 15 into 50. Then minus, what is the bending moment? 100 kilonewton mm. We have to convert it into Newton mm. So it will be 100 into 10 to the power 3 Newton mm. I converted kilonewton into Newton. What will be Y maximum, my friend? 25. Y maximum means the distance of top or bottom from the centroid. So Y maximum is 25 divided by I. So what will be I? BH cube by 12. 15 into 50 cube by 12. So this is My maximum by I. So what will you get, my friend? What will you get? Maximum stress in compression. Calculate it and tell me what will you get. Calculate it and tell me what will you get. So this will become 4 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 15 into 50. This will become 5.33 minus My maximum by I. This will become, if you solve it, this will become 16. So what will you get, my friend? What will you get? 5.33. This is the axial stress and 16. This is the bending stress. What will you get? You will get minus 10.67 megapascal. Why negative sign? Because our stress is compressive. If you add them, you will get a compressive stress. So do you understand? Minus 10.67 megapascal. This is the answer, my friend. Okay. So do you understand the problem, my friend? Do you understand the problem? Do you understand the problem, my friend? Let me explain it using diagram. You understand this? Let me explain it using the diagram, my friend. Using the diagram, let me explain the same thing, what is happening here. Okay. So this is the cross section, my friend. 15 mm by 50 mm. This is the cross section. 15 mm by 50 mm. This is the neutral axis. Okay. What is the axial stress we calculated? 5.33, right? Axial stress that we calculated is 5.33. So it is acting like this. This is 5.33. From top to bottom, the stress is 5.33 megapascal. Okay. Bending stress is how much? 10.67. Bending stress is how much? Sorry, 16. Bending stress is 16. So it will be plus 16 at top and minus 16 at bottom. So bending stress is like this. Plus 16, minus 16. Now what we are doing? We are adding both of them. So what we will get? What we will get? At top, the stress will become 16 plus 5.33. The stress will become 21.33. And at bottom, how much will you get? You will get minus 10.67. So do you understand? Do you understand? In this question, they were asking maximum compressive stress. So what we did? 5.33 minus 16 minus 10.67. In the same problem, if they ask you calculate maximum tensile stress, then what you will do? 5.33 plus 16. So it will become 21.33. So in this question, maximum tensile stress is 21.33. Maximum compressive stress is minus 10.67 megapascal. Very important question, my friends, because the same concept, the questions based on these concepts are repeatedly asked in GATE, engineering services, any PSU exam. Okay. So very important concept. Understand this concept. Okay. Understand this concept. Very important concept, my friend. Okay. So we have solved one problem, my friend. We will solve another few problems based on this concept so that you will understand it properly. Okay. But before we move on to the next question, please give me a thumbs up. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up, my friend. Like this video and share this video to as many people as possible. Remember, sharing is caring, my friend. Okay. So please like this video, my friend, before moving on. Okay. Now, another question, my friend. Another question. This time I will pick a question from GATE. So this is the question, my friend, from GATE 2008, civil engineering question, GATE 2008. Okay. I will solve a problem from GATE 2008 civil engineering question. Okay. Another very interesting question. Now this time you have to solve it on your own. This time I am expecting answers from you people. Okay. You have to participate, my friend. Okay. You have to participate. Okay. You have to keep posting your answer in live chat. I am monitoring the live chat every day. Every day at 3 p.m. I am there online live monitoring your chats. Okay. I will answer your doubts also. Okay. So please keep posting your answers. Okay. So this is the question, my friend. This is the question. Okay. Note this question down. Then we will start with the solution. You have to solve this question on your own. This is the problem. A load P is acting here. The cross section, entire cross section is this. This is B, depth is D. Okay. You have to calculate stress, maximum tensile stress at XX. You have to calculate what? Maximum tensile stress at this cross section, not at this cross section. Okay. Not at this plane. You don't have to calculate stress at this plane. You have to calculate stress at this plane. Okay. Remember this plane. So this is the question, my friend. Okay. I am expecting solution from you guys. I am expecting solution from you guys. Okay. Please solve this question. Please solve this question. Please solve this question. Understand the problem first. Understand the diagram first. Understand the diagram first, my friend. Understand the diagram. what they are asking you to calculate, they are asking you to calculate stress at this plane. Okay, not at this plane. Okay, the load is acting directly at the centroid of this plane, but the force is not acting at the centroid of this plane. So what do you have to do? The centroid of this plane will be here, right? The centroid of this plane will be here on this line, but the force is right now not acting at the centroid of this plane xx. So what you will do, you will transfer force P from here to here. You will transfer force P. Right now it is acting here, I have to transfer it here. Why? Because centroid of this plane xx is here. So if you transfer it here, what you will get? A force P, and you will get a moment, and you will get a moment. Okay, what is this distance, my friend? What is this distance? Tell me what is this distance. Tell me what is this distance. This height is d by 2. Okay, this total height is d. This height is given. Okay, this height is given. This height is d by 2. This height is d by 2. The height of xx plane is d by 2. So what will be this? D by 4. Okay, this will be d by 4. This total height is d. This height is d by 2. This height is d by 2. And this height from this center to this center, d by 4. So what will be the moment, my friend? Moment will be pd by 4. Moment will be pd by 4. Moment will be pd by 4, my friend. Okay. Now calculate the maximum tensile stress at xx plane. Calculate the maximum tensile stress at xx plane, my friend. Okay. So what you have to do? Axial stress plus bending stress. You have to calculate maximum tensile stress, right? So it will be P by A. P is tensile, so it will be P by A, and bending stress will be tensile because we are calculating tensile stress. So bending stress will be plus My maximum divided by I. Okay. Now put the value here. Force is P. What will be the area? Now most of the students, what they do? Area B into D. You are not calculating stress on this plane. The area of this plane will be B into D, but the area of this plane, XX plane, it will be only this much. This much. So what will be the area? B into D by 2. The area will be only this much. B into D by 2, because we are calculating stress on this plane, not on this plane. Okay. Plus, what is the moment, my friend? PD by 4. What is Y maximum, my friend? What will be Y maximum? What will be Y maximum? D by 4. Okay. Look at this area. Forget about this area. Okay. Now this is your area. So what will be D maximum? What will be Y maximum, my friend? Total height is D by 2. So Y maximum will be D by 4 divided by I. So what will be I? BH cube by 12. Height is D by 2. So B into D by 2 cube by 12. Okay. This is your I. Now add these two, what you are getting? Calculate it. What you are getting? What you are getting? Calculate it. This will be 2P by BD. This will be 2P by DD plus. Calculate it. What you will get? What you will get? This D will be cancelled. Okay. This will become how much? How much? Calculate it. How much? How much? This will become 12. This will become 6P by BD. This will become 6P by BD. Let me check my answer. Right. So 2P by BD plus 6P by BD. What you will get? What you will get? Tell me in the live chat. What you will get? 8P by BD. This is the maximum tensile stress in the cross section. If I ask you to calculate maximum compressive stress, then what you will get? If I ask you to calculate maximum compressive stress, then what you will get, my friend? 2P by BD, and this will become minus 6P by BD. So maximum compressive stress will be minus 2P by BD. This minus this. But here I am asking you to calculate maximum tensile stress. So it will be this plus this, 8P by BD. Okay. So this is the answer to this question, my friend. This is the answer. This is the answer. Give me a thumbs up. If you are liking this video, give me a thumbs up, my friend. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. All right. So let's move on to the next question. We will solve one more question. We'll solve one more question because it is a very important concept. So we'll solve one more question, my friend. One more question from combined axial load plus bending. One more question from this concept, combined axial load plus bending, my friend. Okay. So what question we will solve? Another question from GATE. This time from mechanical engineering. This is another question This was asked in GATE 2008 from mechanical engineering. GATE 2008 from mechanical engineering. Okay. So this is a beam, L-shaped member. This is force F. Okay. The cross section is this. This is the cross section 2B, 2B. This is what? Cross section. Okay. They are asking you to calculate what will be the sigma at this point. Sigma at point P. Okay. This distance is given L minus B. This distance is L minus B. They are asking you to calculate what will be the sigma at point P. Sigma at point P. Here. This is point P. They are asking what will be sigma here. Okay. So do you understand this? Do you understand this question? This is the cross section 2B into 2B. They are asking you to calculate what will be the stress at point B. Okay. What will be the stress at point P? So what you will do, my friend? Point P is a part of this cross section, right? It is at the top of this cross section. Now the cross section has a centroid here. This is the centroid and the force is not acting at the centroid. So what I will do? I will transfer the force from here to here. I will transfer the force here. This will be F and I will get a couple like this. I will get a couple. I will get a couple like this. What will be the value of the couple? Distance of F from point P is L minus B, but we don't need to find this distance. We need this distance. We are transferring the force at the centroid, not at point B. We are not transferring the force at P. We are transferring the force at centroid. So what will be this distance? L minus B and this distance is B. Okay, this total width is 2B. So this distance will be B. So L minus B plus B, this will be L. So what will be the moment? F into L, my friend. Okay, so do you understand? We are not transferring the force at point P. We are transferring the force at the centroid. So F distance from F to centroid will be L. Now, sigma at point P. So what will be the value? F upon area. This will be the axial stress because load is tensile. So axial stress will be F by A. Now, due to this moment, what stress will be developed at P? Tensile or compressive? Tensile or compressive? Tensile or compressive, my friend? Tell me, will it be tensile or compressive? It will bend like this. It will bend like this. It will bend like this. So tell me at point B, will there be tensile stress or compressive stress? There will be tensile stress. Look at this. The length will increase here. So this will be tensile stress. So plus My by I. Okay. Here Y will be maximum. So My maximum by I. So what is area, my friend? 2B into 2B. This is the cross section. This is the cross section. So area will be 2B multiplied by 2B plus what is the moment, my friend? F into L. What is Y maximum? B. And what will be I? 2B into 2B whole cube divided by 12. BH cube by 12. Okay. This will be sigma at point P. So do you understand this? What will be the area? 2B into 2B. What will be the moment M? Moment is F into L. We transferred the force F on the centroid, not at point P. Okay, don't get confused. We are not transferring the force at P. We are transferring the force at the centroid. Okay. Then we have put the values in the equation. What you will get here? F upon 4B square. What you will get here? Here, this will become B. This B will be cancelled. What you will get here? What you will get here? You will get here 4 into L. This 12 will go up. This will become 2 into 8 into B cube. Right? So what you will get here? If this will become 3, this will become 2. So F upon 4B cube. This will be common. Here you will get B plus here you will get 3L. This is the stress at point P. This is the stress at point P. 4 by F upon 4B cube into B plus 3L. Okay, solve this equation, you will get this. F upon 4B cube into B plus 3L. I have taken F upon 4B cube common. So you are getting B plus 3L. Okay, this is the stress at point P, normal stress at point P. So do you understand this question, my friend? Do you understand the solution? I have taken 3 examples from previous year GATE and engineering services question to explain the concept of combined axial load plus bending. Combined axial load plus bending, my friend. So if you like this concept, if you understand this concept, if you are getting this concept, please give me a thumbs up. Please like this video, my friend. Okay, and don't forget to share this video after this lecture ends. You have to share this video to all your contacts, my friend. Okay, remember, sharing is caring. So keep sharing these videos, my friend. Keep sharing these videos. Okay, so these were the questions based on combined axial load and bending. Okay, now we will move on to the next topic, a very interesting topic. Most of the people don't discuss this topic. Most of the people don't discuss this topic. So what topic we are going to discuss, my friend? We are going to discuss a topic of beam of uniform strength. Beam of uniform strength. I will explain this topic in very detailed manner. Beam of uniform strength. Okay, so be prepared to get the concepts cleared. Beam of uniform strength. Okay, beam of uniform strength. What is the beam of uniform strength? This is a theory question. Although this is a theory question, but it is very important. It is very important because usually in every exam, once or twice you will see this question, beam of uniform strength. Okay, even in PSU exams, SSC JE, even in government sector exams, everywhere you will get this type of question. What is beam of uniform strength? Okay, so we will discuss this concept in very detail so that you will get the entire concept clear about beam of uniform strength. Okay, first of all, I have to discuss this point. What is uniform strength? Okay, what is uniform strength? What is beam of uniform strength? Okay, so note this down if you want. Beam of uniform strength. I will write the definition so that you understand it. Beam of uniform strength. Beam of uniform strength is a beam where maximum bending stress at every section of beam is constant. Note this definition, understand this definition, my friend. Beam of uniform strength is a beam where maximum bending stress at every section of the beam is same, is constant or same. Okay, let's write it same. Okay, otherwise you will get confused what is constant. So beam of uniform strength is a beam where maximum bending stress at every section is same. Now I will explain this using an example. Okay, so let's say this is a beam. Okay, let's say this is a beam. Okay, now there are different sections of this beam. This section, this section, this section. Okay, let's say this is a beam. So there are different sections, section 1, section 2, section 3. It will be called a beam of uniform strength if it is subjected to maximum bending stress same at every section. If the maximum bending stress here, let's say sigma maximum at this section is 100 megapascal. Okay, sigma maximum at this section is also 100 and sigma maximum here is also 100. So you can see sigma maximum at this plane, this plane, this plane is same. So this is known as beam of uniform strength, my friend. This beam is known as beam of uniform strength. Okay, now let me tell you using an example how do we get beam of uniform strength. Okay, so let's say we have a prismatic beam. Let's say we have a prismatic beam. What do we mean by prismatic beam? What do we mean by prismatic? Tell me in the live chat. Tell me, type in the live chat. What is the beam of, what is a prismatic beam? What do we mean by this word prismatic? What is prismatic, my friend? Prismatic word is used many times. So what is prismatic? Prismatic means cross section is constant. Cross sectional area from here to here is constant. This is not a prismatic beam. This is what? This is a tapered beam. This is a prismatic beam. So do you understand the meaning of prismatic? So this is a prismatic beam subjected to pure bending. Okay, let's say it is subjected to pure bending. Now another concept, pure bending. Yesterday we discussed what is pure bending. If it is only subjected to bending moment, then it is pure bending. And you can see that from here to here, bending moment is constant at every section. Okay. Now consider two sections. This is, let's say, section 1-1. This is, let's say, section 2-2. Okay. What will be sigma maximum, my friend? What will be sigma maximum? Sigma maximum means m into y maximum by I, right? Or I can write it this, m by z. What is z? Yesterday we discussed section modulus. What is z? Section modulus, I by y maximum. Z is nothing but section modulus, I by y maximum. For rectangle it is bh square by 6, and for circle it is pi by 16 d cube. Okay, for rectangle z is bh square by 6, and for circle it is pi by 16 d cube. So I can write m into y maximum by I as m by z. This is sigma maximum. Now for 1-1, what will be the value of bending moment? M. What will be bending moment? From left or from right? There is only one couple, m. So what will be the bending moment at point at this plane? M. What will be the bending moment at this plane? 2. Same, m. So bending moment at 1-1 and 2-2 is same, m. Now z at 1-1 and z at 2-2 will also be same, right? Because the cross section is constant. So z of this plane and z of this plane will also be same. Means m and z of both these plane is same. So sigma maximum of plane 1-1 will be equal to sigma maximum of plane 2-2. So what does this mean? This beam is a beam of uniform strength, because the maximum bending stress at this plane and at this plane is same. M is same, Z is also same. M is same here and here, Z is also same here and here. So this is a beam of uniform strength. So note this point down, right now, okay? And nobody will tell you this. Prismatic beam subjected to pure bending. Prismatic beam subjected to pure bending is a beam of uniform strength. Note this in your notebook, my friend, and highlight this point. Prismatic beam subjected to pure bending is a beam of uniform strength. What do we mean by uniform strength? Maximum stress should be same from this end to this end, from this end to this end. At every section, maximum bending stress should be same. Then it will be called beam of uniform strength. So do you understand the meaning of beam of uniform strength? And do you understand the example? A prismatic beam subjected to pure bending is a beam of uniform strength, my friend. Okay, it is a very important concept, my friend. Okay, now this is a prismatic beam subjected to pure bending. Let's consider a prismatic beam, but it is not subjected to pure bending. Let's consider a cantilever beam. It is a prismatic beam because cross sectional area is constant and it is subjected to a load W here. Okay, this is subjected to a load W. Let's consider two planes. This is plane 1-1 and this is plane 2-2. Okay, let's say this distance is 1 meter. This distance is also 1 meter. Okay, now sigma maximum is m by z. Sigma maximum is m by z. So what will be sigma 1-1 here? What will be sigma 1-1 here? M will be W into 1. Forget about the sign convention. Okay, right now don't worry about the sign convention. Plus W minus W. Don't worry about it. What will be the bending moment at this plane? What will be the bending moment at this plane? W into distance 1. Okay, so M will be W into 1 divided by what will be the section modulus? Z, right? So W by Z. Okay, W into 1 meter. This is the bending moment divided by Z. What will be the stress at 0.22, maximum bending stress at 0.22, what will be the bending moment? W into 2 meter. Bending moment here, what will it be? W into 2 meter. So it will become 2W, but the Z will remain same because this is a prismatic bar. So look at this. Bending stress at 1,1 is W by Z and bending stress at 2,2 is 2W by Z. So is this a beam of uniform strength? No, it is not a beam of uniform strength. Why? Because W is bending moment is different. Z is constant, but bending moment is different. In this equation, sigma max equals to M by Z. M is different and Z is constant. So if Z is constant and M is different, sigma will also be different. Look at this. Here sigma is W by Z and here sigma is 2W by Z. Okay. So this is not a beam of uniform strength, but we can make it a beam of uniform strength. We can make it a beam of uniform strength. Okay. So now I will explain how you can turn any beam into a beam of uniform strength. How you can make any beam into a beam of uniform strength. We will discuss the procedure. Okay. We will discuss the procedure of making a beam of uniform strength. Very important procedure. Okay. Very important procedure. What we are going to discuss, how you can make, how you can design a beam of uniform strength. Okay, you might get theory question, conceptual question based on this concept. So let's say we have a cantilever beam subjected to load W. Okay, subjected to load W. Length of this beam is L. Height of this beam is constant H, but width of the beam is not constant. Okay, width of the beam means, let's say this is a beam. Okay, this is a height, you can see it here from here. This is the height, and if you look at the top, look at from top. Okay, if you look at this beam from top, then this will be the width. Okay, this is the width. Look at this body, it has constant width, okay, this is the height, this is the width which you can see from top. Okay, the width you can see from top. Right now the width is constant. Okay, but if the cross section is constant, it will not be a beam of uniform strength. See, sigma maximum is M by Z, right? M is not constant, M is changing. From here to here, M is changing, right? From here to here, M is changing, M is increasing. Now if Z is constant and M is increasing, then sigma will also increase, right? If M is increasing, sigma will also start to increase because Z is constant. So what you have to do, if M is increasing, Z should also be increasing in the same ratio. If M is getting doubled, Z should also get double. If M is getting tripled, Z should also get tripled. Then what will happen? This ratio will become constant. Sigma will become constant. So if M is increasing, Z should also increase, my friend. Okay. So what you have to do in this beam, you have to increase the value of Z. Now what is Z of rectangle? Z of rectangle is BH square by 6. Now I am telling you that H should be constant, right? I am telling you that H should be constant. So if you want to increase Z, what you will increase? You will increase B. If you want to increase Z, you will increase the value of B. Okay. So in order to make this beam of uniform strength, M is increasing, so Z should also increase in the same way. Then this ratio will become constant, sigma will become constant, and it will become beam of uniform strength. M is not constant here, M is changing, so Z should also change. If you keep Z constant, then your M is increasing, Z will start to increase. But I don't want sigma to increase, I want sigma to be constant. So if M is increasing, Z should also increase. Okay. And what is Z? BH square by 6. Now I am saying that H should be constant. I am saying that H should be constant. So B should increase. In order to increase Z, B should increase. Okay. Now what is the equation of M? What will be the equation of M? Consider any section. Consider any section. Let's say this is the height H. Consider any section. Consider any section at a distance x. What will be the equation of m? Wx. Okay, forget about the sign. M will be Wx. So how m is increasing? Linearly. So how z should increase? Linearly. It should increase linearly. And z is increasing means b is increasing. So m is increasing linearly. So z should increase linearly means b should increase linearly. So this beam, if you look at this beam from top, this is the side view. This is the side view. We are looking at the beam from this view. Okay, if you look at it from top, then the width should be like this. The width should be like this. This will be a linear variation of width. Okay, why the width is varying linearly? Because m is varying linearly. So z should also vary linearly. If m is varying parabolically, z will also be parabolic. So that ratio will become constant. So if m is increasing linearly, z should also increase linearly. I am telling you that we need to keep h constant. So b should vary linearly. Now this is logical explanation. Let me tell you mathematically how this will be a linear variation. Okay, so what we are going to do, let's say that the maximum width is b. Let's say maximum width is b. Maximum width is fixed, that we cannot increase the width from by this much. So let's say maximum width is b. Now what we will do, if this beam of uniform strength, for beam of uniform strength, sigma maximum at every section should be same. For beam of maximum strength, sigma maximum at every section should be same. So sigma maximum at this section, x section, should be equal to sigma maximum at the fixed end. Right, if it is a beam of uniform strength, sigma maximum here and here should be same. Now what will be sigma maximum at this plane? M by z, right? Sigma maximum means m by z. So what will be m? W into x. Right? What will be m? W into x. On this plane, m will be w into x. What will be height, my friend? What will be z, my friend? Let's say the width here. Let's say the width here is bx. Okay. So this will write, this I will write bx into h square by 6. Height is constant. Okay. This will be equal to, this is m by z. M by z of this plane. This should be equal to m by z at the fixed end. So what will be the m at the fixed end? W into L. Bending moment at fixed end will be W into L divided by z at the fixed end. So at the fixed end, b width will be b. This is the maximum width b, and height is constant. Height is constant. So this will become bh square by 6. Okay, we are assuming rectangular section. Okay, now W6 h square. This all will be cancelled. What will you get from here? B at any section x will be equal to b into x by L. B into x by L. B into x by L. Look at this equation. What is this equation? This is the equation of a straight line. That's why we are getting like this. If it is x square, then it will become parabolic. If it is x square, then it will become parabolic. Right now it is a straight line. So this is the beam of uniform strength at any distance x. Your width should be b into x by L. Okay, at any distance x, the value of width will be bx by L. So the width should be like this. If the width is constant, your z will become constant. M is changing and z becomes constant. So sigma will start to change. But right now what is happening? M is also varying linearly. Z is also varying linearly. So your ratio m by z will become constant. And now your beam has become beam of uniform strength. Okay. So this is a procedure to make a beam of uniform strength. You will get question from this particular example. This particular example is very important. Okay, cantilever beam subjected to point load, height is constant. How the width should vary? Width should vary linearly. For the beam to be uniform strength, width should vary linearly. So this is a procedure of making a beam of uniform strength. So I hope you understand the concept behind beam of uniform strength, my friend. Okay, the concept behind beam of uniform strength. Very interesting concept. Now we will move on to the next topic, my friend. We will move on to the next very interesting topic. the next very interesting topic, my friend. Okay, I will explain a very interesting concept in the next topic, my friend. The next topic is known as composite beam. The next topic is known as composite beam. Composite beam, my friend. The next topic is known as composite beam. Now, what is a composite beam? I told you the meaning of the word composite. What is the meaning of word composite, my friend? Composite means made up of more than one material. Okay. So, what do we mean by composite beam, my friend? Composite beam is a beam made up of more than one material. Okay. Composite beam means beam which is made of more than one material. So in this topic, we are going to discuss beam which are made of more than one material. What will be the examples of composite beam? This is an example of composite beam. Steel, aluminum. This is just an example. Okay. There are two different metals, steel and aluminum. This is the cross section. Okay. This is the cross section. So the cross section of the beam, half of cross section is made of steel, half is made of aluminum. Okay, so this is an example of composite beam. This is another example of composite beam. Let's say there is a wooden beam. At top and bottom we have steel plates. Okay, this is known as reinforcement. Okay, wooden beams, usually in many structures you will see wooden beams. Okay, wooden structures. Okay, usually in foreign countries. Usually in foreign countries where the temperature is very less, they make structures of wood so that heat will be trapped inside the home. Okay, so they make structures of wood. Now, wooden beams are very weak. Their strength is very less. So if you want to increase the strength of wood, what you will do? You will reinforce the wood with steel plates. So here we are placing two steel plates at top and bottom, so that the strength of wooden beam will increase. Okay, this is what we are doing it to increase the strength of wood. Okay, let's say right now it is only capable of sustaining 10 kilonewton meter moment. So if you put steel plates, then it will start to sustain more than 10 kilonewton meter. Okay, the strength of the beam will increase, my friend. Okay, so this is known as reinforcement. Look at these two beams. They are made of more than one material. Here there are two materials, steel and aluminum. Here there are two materials, steel and wood. So this is known as composite beam. So in this topic, we will see how we can calculate bending stress in these type of beams. In this type of beam, you cannot directly use sigma equals to my by I. Why? Which theory did we use to find this sigma? Yesterday we discussed about this. Which theory? Sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R. This equation is derived from which theory? Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. And in Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory, there is an assumption that material is homogeneous. Right now, is this material homogeneous? No. Homogeneous material means at every point the property should be same. But here the property of steel is different, property of aluminum is different. Here property of steel and wood are different. So this is not homogeneous, and if the material is not homogeneous, we cannot directly use this equation sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R. This equation is not directly used. We cannot directly put this equation in order to calculate sigma. Okay. So in this problem, what we have to do, that we will discuss, and we will try to solve numericals also based on composite beam. Okay. So look at this example, composite beam. Now we will see how we can calculate bending stress in these type of beams. Okay, we will take an example and we will try to understand how we can solve a composite beam, how we can calculate bending stress in composite beam. Very important concept, my friend, very important concept. Composite beam is a very important concept. Okay, so let's see how to solve problems of composite beam. Okay, so I will try to explain the concept behind composite beam using an example. So let's consider this particular example. Let's say we have a cantilever beam let's say we have a cantilever beam of wood. Let's say we have a cantilever beam made of wood subjected to a load like this. Okay, but wood is very weak. So in order to increase the strength of this, I am putting steel plates at top and at bottom. Okay, I am putting two steel plates, one at top, one at the bottom. So do you understand it? Do you understand this question, my friend? I am trying to explain a very important concept using a very simple example. Okay, so please give me a thumbs up. It works like a motivation for me. It works like an encouragement for me. So give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button, my friend. Hit the like button. All of you, if you have still not liked this video, please hit the like button, my friend. This concept is a very important concept. Okay, so we have a wooden beam which was very weak. So what I did, I put steel plates on top and on bottom. Okay, I have put steel plates. Okay, this is the cross section. This is the cross section of the beam. Okay, this is the cross section of the beam. This is steel, this is steel, this is wood. Okay, this is what? Cross section. Cross section means if you look at this beam from side, it will look like this. Okay, let's say this is the beam. Okay, then this will be the cross section. If this is the beam, then this will be the cross section. Okay, so this is the side view, sorry, this is the front view, and this cross section is the side view. Okay, this is the side view. Okay, all right. Now what will happen in this beam? Let's understand. When you will apply the load like this, the beam will bend like this. The beam will bend like this, right? The beam will bend like this. This is steel, this is steel, this is wood, right? Now look at this plane. This plane. Look at this plane. Look at this plane. Okay, this plane. What is this plane? This is the plane where steel and wood are touching each other. This is the plane where steel and wood are touching each other. Here, this is the plane. This is the plane where steel and wood both are touching each other. Okay, look at this plane. The change in length of steel and change in length of wood on this particular plane, change in length of steel and changing length of wood both are equal, my friend. Okay, this is the initial length and this is the final length. You can see change in length of steel and change in length of wood at this plane is equal. It will not bend like this. It will not bend like this. This cannot happen. This cannot happen. That wood will elongate more and steel will elongate less. This cannot happen because both these bodies are completely attached with each other. So if steel elongates this much, wood will also elongate that much. Okay, so the change in length of steel at this plane, blue line, on this blue line, change in length of steel and change in length of wood is equal. Now what is change in length divided by length? What is delta L by L? What is delta L by L? Delta L by L is normal strain, epsilon. So epsilon on this plane will be same for steel and wood. Epsilon on this plane will be same for steel and wood. Let's say this is the distribution of epsilon. What will be the distribution of epsilon? It will be linear. Distribution of epsilon will be linear. Distribution of strain will be linear. We have discussed it yesterday. Distribution of stress and distribution of strain. Bending stress and bending strain. Both will be linear. Okay. So this will be the strain. Look at this plane. Here, epsilon of steel is equals to epsilon of wood. Whatever epsilon you are getting in steel on this plane, epsilon of wood is also same. Okay. So do you understand this concept? Do you understand this concept? Tell me, do you understand this concept? Tell me, do you understand this concept? Yes, you understand this concept. Now, what is sigma, my friend? What is sigma? Sigma is E into epsilon. If you assume that this obeys Hooke's law, if you assume that stresses are within proportional limit, then you can use Hooke's law. So what is sigma? E into epsilon. These are the values of epsilon. These are all the values of epsilon. If you multiply them with E, what you will get? Sigma. This is the value of epsilon from top to bottom. At top, the epsilon is this much. Here epsilon is this much. Here epsilon is 0. Here epsilon is this much. If I multiply E, I will get what? Sigma. Now, E of wood is very less. E of wood is very less. Let's say 10 gigapascal. So this will be E of sigma of wood. Okay. This will be sigma of wood. This will be sigma of wood. Okay. This much, because E of wood is less. So this will be sigma of wood. But E of steel is very high. E of steel is very high. E of wood is, let's say, 10 gigapascal. Then E of wood is 10 gigapascal. E of steel will be 200 gigapascal, 20 times more. So if you multiply E of steel in the epsilon of steel, you will get this much stress. You will get this much stress because E of steel is very high. So look at this. Look at this. This is sigma of wood. This is sigma of steel. This is sigma of wood. This is sigma of steel. Sorry, this is sigma of wood. This is sigma of steel. Right? So look at this. On this plane, here on this plane, epsilon of wood and steel are equal, but sigma of wood and steel are different. Why? Because sigma equals to E into epsilon, and E of wood and E of steel are different. So do you understand this concept? Do you understand this diagram? Do you understand this diagram, my friend? It will vary linearly, but you can see that on the same plane, sigma of wood is different and sigma of steel is different. I can prove it mathematically. I can write it mathematically also. I can write it mathematically. On this plane, epsilon of steel is equals to epsilon of wood. What will be epsilon? Sigma of steel divided by E of steel. According to Hooke's law, what will be sigma of wood? Epsilon of wood. Sigma of wood divided by E of wood. So what will you get? Sigma of steel will be sigma of wood into E of steel divided by E of wood. This ratio, E of steel divided by E of wood, is known as modular ratio, my friend. Okay, note this down. This ratio is known as modular ratio, which is denoted by M. So sigma of steel will be M into sigma of wood. On this plane, sigma of steel will be equal to sigma of wood multiplied by M. Okay, so whatever the value of sigma of wood you are getting, multiply M and you will get sigma of steel. Okay, so do you understand this concept, my friend? Do you understand this concept? Understand this diagram. On this plane where steel and wood both are touching each other, epsilon is equal for both, but sigma is different. Epsilon is equal, but sigma is different. Sigma of steel will be greater than sigma of wood. Why? Because E of steel is greater than E of wood. Okay, so if epsilon is same, why epsilon is same, that you understand? When it will bend, change in length of steel and wood will be same. So epsilon is same, but sigma are different. So you see that sigma of wood is very less and sigma of steel is very high. Okay, so do you understand the problem here? Now we have to see how we can calculate these stresses. We have to see how we can calculate these stresses. So I will tell you a very simple procedure to calculate sigma. Okay, understand this. First of all, you note this down. Modular ratio. What is modular ratio, my friend? Modular ratio means E of steel by E of W. Okay, and modular ratio should always be greater than 1. Modular ratio should always be greater than 1. So let's say there are two material. For the first material, Young's modulus is 100 gigapascal, and for the second material, Young's modulus is 200 gigapascal. So what will be M? What will be M? It will not be 100 by 200. It will be written 200 by 100. Okay, so it should always be E greater by E less. Okay, it should always be greater than 1. Okay, so modular ratio is defined in that way. Okay, it should be greater than 1. All right, now we will consider a very simple example and we will see how to calculate the bending stress. Okay, so let's say we have the same example. Let's say we have this two steel plates kept on wooden beam. Okay, this is a wooden beam, these two are steel plates. Okay, now we have to calculate bending stress in steel and in wood. Okay, now what is our problem? The problem is this material is not homogeneous. This is a non-homogeneous material. Property of steel and property of wood are different. Okay, so what we will do, we will either convert steel into wood or we will convert wood into steel. Okay, we will convert steel into wood or we will convert wood into steel. How do we convert wood into steel or steel into wood? Let's say you want to convert wood into steel. Okay, let's say you want to convert wood into steel. So how will you convert it? These are steel plates. These are steel plates and the center material is wood. Now I want to convert wood into steel. Okay, now this is a rectangle. This is a rectangle. There are two dimensions, width and height. Okay, there are two dimensions. There are two dimensions. This is the height of wood. Okay, this is the height of wood and this is the width of wood. Right? This is the width of wood. Now we have two options. We can either convert the height or we can convert the width. The problem is if we convert the height, if we change the height, then the value of y will change. What is the equation? Sigma equals to my by I. Okay, so if we change the height, then y value will change and your sigma will be wrong. So you can't change the height. You have to keep the height constant. You have to keep the height constant so that your y value do not change. Okay, so we have to change width. We can't change the height, we have to change width. What our objective is? Our objective is to convert wood into steel. And how will we convert it? We will not change the height, we will change the width. So how do we change width? If you convert wood into steel, it will become like this. This will be the new width. And what will be the new width, my friends? The new width will be B by M. The new width will be B by M. So now it is converted into steel. Now the entire beam is of steel. So do you understand this concept? You can't change the height. Why? Because the y value will change. Okay, what is y? Vertical distance from neutral axis. Vertical distance from neutral axis should remain constant. So h cannot be changed. We will change the width. And how we will change the width? We will divide the width by modular ratio m. Okay, so you can convert the entire beam into steel. Right now it was steel and wood, but we have converted into steel. This is an equivalent section. This is what? Equivalent section. Okay, so this is an equivalent section of this. Okay, now we have another method. We have another method, my friend. We have another method. We can also convert steel into wood. So how will we convert steel into wood? This is the wood. Keep the wood same. Okay, we will not change the wood. So keep the wood same. Now we will convert steel into wood. Now again we cannot change the height. We can change the width. Now width of steel initially is B. If you convert it into wood, then what will happen? The width will increase. This will be the new width. How much will be the new width, my friend? This new width will be equal to B into M. B into M. B into M. So now you have converted steel into wood. So what we can do? We can convert wood into steel. If you convert wood into steel, it will be B by M. And if you convert steel into wood, it will be B into M. So if you convert wood into steel or steel into wood, then your cross section will become homogeneous. Now our problem is solved. Our problem was that it was non-homogeneous, different material. But now we have converted it into a single material. Now our problem is solved. Now we can use this equation, sigma equals to m by I. Now we can use this equation, problem solved. Problem solved. But there is one more problem. One more problem. What is that problem? If you calculate sigma using this equation, whatever you are getting here in wood is correct, but whatever you are getting here will be wrong. Why? Because initially it was steel and now I have converted it into wood. So whatever you are getting here, whatever sigma you are getting here, that is correct, but whatever sigma you are getting here, that is wrong. So what we will do? Let's say here you are getting sigma equals to 2 megapascal, okay, and here you are getting sigma equals to 5 megapascal. Let's say your m is 10, okay, just an example. Let's say m is 10, here sigma is 2 megapascal, here sigma is 5 megapascal. Now this 2 megapascal is correct. Why? Because earlier it was wood, now it is also wood, but this 5 megapascal is wrong. Why? Because earlier it was steel and now it is wood, and we know that stress in steel should be more than stress in wood. So what we will do? We will multiply it by m. We will multiply this 5 with m. So what is m? 10. So the actual stress will be, sigma actual will be 50 megapascal. If you are getting 5, actual will be 50. If you are getting 5, actual will be 50. So do you understand it? Do you understand it? When you convert wood into steel, steel into wood, whatever value you are getting, that is not the actual value. If you are getting 5, then you have to multiply it by m. Whatever you are getting in wood, that is correct, because you converted wood into, you have not converted wood, you have converted steel into wood. So whatever you are getting in this region, it is correct, but whatever you are getting here in this region, that is wrong, because you have converted steel into wood. So if you are getting 5, actual answer should be 5 into m. Okay, now I know that it is very confusing. What is happening here? We are converting this into that, that into this. Very confusing. Let's consider a numerical. Let's understand this concept using numerical. If you understand it using numerical, then it will be very easy. Okay, it will be very easy to explain this using a numerical. So I will explain this concept using a numerical. Okay, so what numerical will I take? What numerical will I consider? Let's consider this numerical. Let's say you have this cross section. Let's say you have this cross section. Let's say you have this cross section. This part and this part. This part and this part are made of copper. Okay, and this middle portion is made of steel. Okay, so this is a composite beam. This is a composite beam. This is a composite cross section. Center part is steel. This here is copper. Okay, let's give it dimension. Let's give it dimension. Let's say this is how much? 10 mm. Then this center width is 20 mm. Then this width is 10 mm. Okay, and this height is, let's say, how much? 75 mm. Okay, so this is the cross section. Do you understand it? Young's modulus of steel is 200 gigapascal. Young's modulus of copper is 100 gigapascal. This beam is subjected to a bending moment of 5 kilonewton meter. And what you need? Sigma maximum in steel, sigma maximum in copper. We need these two things. We need these two things, my friend. We need these two things. We need maximum normal stress in steel and we need maximum normal stress in copper. We need these two things, my friend. Okay, so this is your question. This is your question. Write this down and then we will start with the solution. Write this question down and then we will start with the solution. Write this question, my friend. Then we will start with the solution. Write this question, then we will start with the solution. Write this question, my friend. Okay, so we have the cross section, we have Young's modulus, we have bending moment, and we need the value of stress, maximum stress in steel, maximum stress in copper. Okay, so what will be our first objective? Our first objective will be to convert it into a equivalent section. Okay, right now it is not homogeneous, it is made of steel as well as copper. I will convert it into completely steel or completely copper. Okay, so what I will do, I will convert it into completely steel. Okay, let's take an example. I will convert it into completely steel. So if you convert copper into steel, the width will decrease. If you convert copper into steel, the width will decrease. So this will be the new cross section. This will be the new cross section. Okay, now it has become steel, steel, steel. Okay, now what will be the value of modular ratio? What will be the value of modular ratio? Modular ratio will be E of steel by E of copper, right? So it will be 200 by 100. So modular ratio will be 2. Modular ratio will be 2. I will convert copper into steel. So modular ratio will be 2. So now this width will be how much? This width will be B by M, 10 by M. This width will be 10 by M means 5 mm. Okay, earlier it was 10 mm. Now I have to divide it by 2. So this will be 5 mm, this will be 5 mm. If you convert steel into copper, then the width of steel will become M multiplied by this width. Okay, if you convert copper into steel, you have to divide by M. If you convert steel into copper, you have to multiply by M. So this will become 5 mm, 5 mm, this will remain 10 mm. Okay, and the height will remain same. We can't change the height. Why? If you change the height, then your Y value will change. So you can't change the height. Okay, now this problem has become this problem. Okay, this problem has become this problem. We don't need this. Okay, now what we will do, we will solve it using the same procedure that we saw yesterday. Sigma maximum will be equal to M into Y maximum by I. Where will you get sigma maximum? This will be the neutral axis at the center. You will get the neutral axis at the center. Where will you get Y maximum? Y maximum will be at the top or at the bottom. Y maximum will be here. Okay, sigma maximum will be here at the top. Okay, so what will be M? M is 5 kilonewton meter converted into Newton mm. 5 into 10 to the power 6. What will be Y maximum? Total height is 75. So this Y maximum will be, this will be 75 by 2, or I can write 37.5 divided by I. What will be I? BH cube by 12. So what will be the width? 20 mm. The width will be 20 mm. What is the height? 75 cube by 12. Okay, calculate it. What you are getting? Calculate it. Calculate it. What you are getting? 5 kilonewton meter into 37.5 divided by BH cube by 12. What you are getting? What you are getting? Tell me what you are getting. Tell me what you are getting. You should get this. You should get how much? Tell me. Calculate it. Calculate it. I don't have the calculator, so I have to calculate it in my tab. Okay. So give me the answer. My tab is switched off. I'll have to turn it on. Solve this and give me the answer. Solve this, my friend. And meanwhile, if you have solved this, keep your answer, post your answer in the live chat and give me a thumbs up. If you are getting this concept, give me a thumbs up. So what we have done so far, we have converted copper into steel. Earlier it was copper, steel, copper. Now I have converted everything into steel. Okay, so copper into steel. If you convert copper into steel, the width was how much? 10 mm. I have converted it into steel. So 10 mm divided by M. So it will become 5 mm. Okay, so now it has become steel. Now the entire cross section has become steel. So I can use this equation My by I. So M is 5 into 10 to the power 6. Y maximum is 37.5. 37.5 divided by BH cube by 12. So how much will you get? 266.67 megapascal. You will get 266.67 megapascal, right? 266. Wait a minute, my friend. Wait a minute. This width was 10 mm or 20 mm. This width was 10 mm or 20 mm. This width was 20 mm. This width was 20 mm, right? This width was 20 mm. So sorry. This width was 20 mm. So this total width will be 30. This total width will be 30. Okay, this will be 20. Okay, this was 20. By mistake, I wrote 10. Okay, this is 20. So this will be 30. Okay, so what you will get? What you will get, my friend, instead of 20, you have to put the width 30. Sorry, so sorry for the mistake, my friend. So sorry. So it will be 177.77. Sigma max will be 177.77 megapascal, right? So this is the answer, my friend. But the problem is, whatever you are getting sigma max 177.77, it is correct for steel. But for copper, at the top of copper, this was earlier copper. So at the top of copper, the answer should not be this much. Okay, the answer in steel is correct. Sigma maximum in steel will be this much, 177.77, because we have not converted steel. We have not done anything with steel, but we have converted copper into steel. So in steel, if you are getting this much stress, in steel if you are getting 177.77, in copper it should be less. So what will be the answer? 177.77 divided by m. Okay, 177.77 divided by m. M is 2. So what will be the stress in copper, my friend? What will be the stress in copper? Stress in copper will become 177.77 divided by 2. It will become 88.88. It will become 88.88 megapascal. So do you get the answer? Do you understand the concept, my friend? We have converted copper into steel. We have not done anything with steel. Steel was steel. Okay. So whatever you are getting in steel, at the top of steel, stress will be this much, 177.77. But at the top of copper, this was earlier copper. Okay. At the top of copper, the stress will not be this much. At the top of copper, the stress will be 177.77 divided by 2, 88.88 megapascal. Okay. So this is the procedure, my friend. This is the procedure. You can see that you can very easily calculate sigma. What you have to do? First, you convert the entire section into one material. Okay. You can convert copper into steel. You can convert steel into copper. You will get the same answer. Okay. Then whatever you calculate, if you converted copper into steel, whatever you are getting in steel, that will be okay. But whatever you are getting in copper, that is wrong. Right now, the stress is 177.77, but this is wrong for copper. For copper, the stress should be this divided by m. This divided by m. So this is the answer in copper. So do you understand, my friend? This is a very important concept, my friend. Okay. This is a very important concept. Now, this was the numerical, very easy numerical. We will discuss a theory question. We will discuss a theory question based on the concept of. We will discuss the theory question based on the concept of composite beam. Okay. Let's say we have three different types of composite beam. Let's say we have different types of composite beam. Let's say in one case, let's say we have a wooden beam. Okay. Let's say we have a wooden beam. Okay. Let's say we have a wooden beam like this. Okay. Let's say we have a wooden beam like this, and we want to reinforce this wooden beam. We want to reinforce this wooden beam. So we have different options. In one case, what I am doing is, in one case, I am putting one steel plate here, one steel plate here. Okay. Let's say the width of steel plate is 5 mm. So I have put one steel plate at top, one steel plate at bottom. This is 5 mm. This is 5 mm. Okay. In the second case, I am putting the steel plate sideways like this, 5 mm, 5 mm. In the third case, I am putting the steel plate like this. In the third case, I am putting the steel plate like this. Okay, let's say this is 10 mm. Okay, and in the fourth case, I am putting the steel plate like this. Okay, four options. You have a steel plate. Okay, you have a steel plate. You have steel plate. You want to reinforce the wood with steel plate. Okay, in the first case, I have put the steel plate one at top, one at bottom, 5 mm at top, 5 mm at bottom. In second case, I have put steel plate sideways, here. In the third case, I have put 10 mm at the center, and in the fourth case, I have put 10 mm at the top. Now, tell me which one will have the maximum strength, means which one will have the maximum capacity to sustain bending moment, which one will be able to sustain maximum bending moment. Okay, if you apply bending moment, what will happen? After one point it will break. Okay, so that will be the maximum bending moment it can sustain, at which it will break. So which one will have the maximum bending moment, which one can sustain maximum bending moment? We have four options. Which one will be the best option? Which one will have the maximum capacity to sustain bending moment? Tell me logically, tell me which one will have the maximum capacity to sustain bending moment? Which one? The answer is this one. The answer is this one. Why? I will explain it logically, my friend. I will explain it logically. You don't have to solve anything. You just have to put the logic. Okay. Now, what is the logic here? See, if you are reinforcing a weak material with a stronger material, if you are reinforcing a weak material, wood, with a stronger material, steel, always put the stronger material away from the neutral axis. The stronger material should be away from the neutral axis. Why? See, bending stresses vary linearly. Bending stresses will vary linearly like this. Okay, bending stresses vary linearly like this. Okay, bending stresses vary linearly like this. So, whatever material you are putting away, that material will have the maximum internal force. Okay, that material will have the maximum internal force. Okay, now if you want to increase the resistance, then the stronger material should be away, right? If you want to increase the resistance, see, maximum resistance will be away. Okay, so if you want to increase the resistance, you have to put the stronger material away. Stronger material should be here. Stronger material should not be here. Here the internal resistance is very less. Here the internal forces are very less. So stronger material should not be here. Stronger material should be here and here, because internal forces are greater here. So stronger material should have the maximum internal force. Okay, so maximum internal force are developed at away from neutral axis. So stronger material should be away from neutral axis. Okay, now in which case the stronger material is away from neutral axis at maximum distance? In this case, the stronger material is nearest to neutral axis. Neutral axis is at the center, and you have put the stronger material near the center. So this is the least strong material. This is the least strong. This will have the minimum strength, and this will have the maximum strength. Okay, I will give you one more procedure. To find which one will be the strongest. What you can do is convert this section into an equivalent section. So if you convert this section into an equivalent section, what you will get? If you convert it into equivalent section, what you will get? If you convert wood into steel, you will get something like this. So in this case, you will get an I section. In this case, what you will do? Convert wood into steel, you will get a rectangle. Okay, in this case, what you will get? You will get a rectangle. Convert this, you will get a plus section. Convert this, you will get a plus section. Convert this, what you will get? You will get a T section, right? Convert wood into steel, you will get a T section. Okay, so here I have converted wood into steel, so it has become I section. Here I converted wood into steel, it became rectangle. Here I converted wood into steel, so it became a plus section, and here again I converted wood into steel, so it became T section. Out of this section, which will have the maximum moment of inertia? I. Which one will have the maximum moment of inertia? I section, rectangle, T section, plus section. Which one will have maximum moment of inertia? I section. And if this has maximum moment of inertia, this will be the strongest. Okay. If this has maximum moment of inertia, this will be the strongest. So very easy concept. If you are not able to understand like that, understand it like this. One thing I told you, that the stronger material should be away from neutral axis. Okay. So the case where stronger material is away from neutral axis, that will be the best. Okay. But if you are not able to understand it like that, understand it like this. Convert this into equivalent section and then compare their moment of inertia. So if you convert this, you will get I. If you convert this, you will get rectangle. If you convert this, you will get a plus. If you convert this, you will get a T. Out of these four sections, maximum moment of inertia will be for I section. So this will be the strongest, my friend. This will be the strongest. And which one will have the least moment of inertia? This. What is moment of inertia? Area into distance ka square. Area into distance ka square. So which area is at maximum distance? This area is at maximum distance, right? This area is at minimum distance. This area is at maximum distance. So moment of inertia of this is maximum. So this will be the strongest. Okay. This is a theory question and it has been asked many times in other types of exams, in PSU exams, in civil services. This question is repeated many times. So this is a very important theory question. Okay. Out of these four cases, which one will be the best? So this one will be the best. Okay. And this one will be the worst. This one will be the worst. Okay. So do you understand the concept of composite beam, my friend? Very good. Very good. Understand this concept. So today we saw three concepts. Three very important concepts. We saw three very important concepts. Combined axial load and bending, then beam of uniform strength, and then composite beam. Okay, these were the three very important concepts that I have explained to you today. Okay, so please note these things down. Try to solve problems related to these concepts. Okay, in the next chapter, in the next topic, we will discuss how to calculate shear stresses in beams. That is also a very important topic. Okay, you also get a lot of questions from shear stresses in beams. Okay, and then after shear stresses in beams, what we will start? A very interesting topic. We will start deflection of beams. Okay, so bending stresses in beams was this much. In the next chapter, we will see shear stresses in beams, and then we will start with deflection of beams. Okay, so this was all for today. Don't forget, before going, don't forget to like this video. Please like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button right now before leaving, and share this video to many friends. Share this video to all of your friends, all of your group. Post it, forward the link of this video in your WhatsApp groups. Okay, tell them that these are free of cost lectures. Look at these lectures. Maybe someone will need them. Maybe someone will take advantage of them. You don't know that. So share this with as many students as possible. Remember, sharing is caring. That is our motto. Sharing is caring. We want to share all this knowledge to everyone. I want to share all my knowledge to everyone. Okay, so please keep sharing these videos, my friend, and please follow our Telegram channel. We are posting all the PDFs there. We are posting all the PDF. We can't send the PDF here, so we are sending the PDF on Telegram channel. Okay, the PDF notes, question, everything you will get on Telegram channel. So please share, please follow our Telegram channel. The link is given in the description. The link is given in the description. Please click on that link and follow our Telegram channel. Okay, don't forget to follow our Telegram channel. Okay, so keep watching these videos, and if you want to learn more from me, I am an educator on Unacademy Plus. So if you want to learn more from me, you can come on this platform, Unacademy Plus. Very important. This thing is very important because a lot of students have started preparing using Unacademy Plus. Okay, a lot of students have already joined Unacademy Plus. 1 year subscription. If you compare the cost of 1 year subscription, this is very less compared to the classroom coaching right now. Okay, in your area also, if you compare the cost of tuition fee anywhere, the cost on Unacademy Plus is very less compared to anywhere else. 1 year subscription only costs 25,000, and if you use my referral code APPROVE10, if you use my referral code APPROVE10, it will give you 10% discount, and in return I will also get something. So it is like a feedback. Okay, you can join using the code of any member, it doesn't matter, but if you join using my code, then I will get a feedback, good feedback. So please give me a good feedback using my referral code Approve10. Join the Unacademy Plus now, today. Okay, if you want to know more about Unacademy Plus, you can search me on Facebook. My name is Aprup Rao. Search my name on Facebook, you will get my Facebook ID, and then you can ask anything you want there. Okay, if you want to personally ask anything about Unacademy Plus, anything about your preparation, you can find me on Facebook and you can ask me there. Okay, this is my coupon code Approve10, and you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, wherever you are. Okay, all right, so this was all for today. Keep sharing this knowledge to all your friends. Remember, sharing is caring, my friend. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you so much.